Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Leo. So, Leo, as usual, I'm doing this reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you see are from this deck. So, Leo, one fun fact for your reading today, um, the very two first cards that jumped out of the deck initiating your reading actually asked to be pulled back into the deck while I was shuffling because the message was embracing a goodbye, almost as if like a child was learning how to become like an individual, right? This process of individuation, right, from a child to the parents in regards to the caretakers, but it felt pretty um how do I say this? It felt very underdeveloped. It felt very basic in a way that um, it was not going to carry kind of like the entire message from that standpoint or from that initial point, if that makes sense. So, what I was feeling, because the two cards that came up were the Eight of Cups and the Page of Wands. And so it's fascinating because from the Page of Wands, I was getting almost like this very fragile child version of you. And it's not like the childlike version of you that would be very playful and very curious and very, just happy. It was more like this, it's like this very fragile human being. And what I'm seeing right now is like I think it's the last Harry Potter movie where Voldemort, it's like this very very vulnerable baby like creature, right? Very just vulnerable to whatever, right? And so it's almost like that wasn't the energy that I wanted to start your reading, and yet here I am talking about that, right? So I just all of that just to share with you the fact that I that never really happened. Not in readings here, right? I've done readings for myself that I've done that because I didn't feel like I was connecting with the cards. But, anyways, so all of that just to say that this is a first happening here. And I know that ever since I came back from Canada, things have been really weird. And it's almost like I'm being introduced to a new way of reading the cards and them communicating themselves to me and showing the messages to me in a different way, right? So that part of your message now is out there. Take it as you will. I feel like it's almost like this underestimated part of yourself that is still very raw, very vulnerable. But when I put those cards back into the deck, and I was, it's almost like my posture changed, to be honest. It wasn't this very um weak stance. It was more like this owning your own space, owning your own body kind of vibe. And this is exactly what is here now for you. So there is a huge shift in your own energy to carry a message that is going to be a lot more grounded, a lot more it's even like safer for yourself, right? And maybe this reassurance to make you know that you are on your way to sovereignty, because we're beginning now with the Nine of Pentacles. So the Nine of Pentacles here is talking about how you are paving your way to your sovereignty, to your independence. And so all of that message that came before, right, of maybe the vulnerability, the weakness, really it's it's maybe kind of like this it's kind of like this misunderstanding or disbelief in your own self, right? In your own capacity to find your independence, to find your sovereignty for yourself, right? And so here you are enjoying this path. So the Nine of Pentacles being followed by the Knight of Pentacles, right? Which is hard to say sometimes, but the nine and the knight, right? Both pentacles this is your human journey. This is your, it's like your physical life, this 3D realm that is meant to be enjoyable. It's meant to be constructive. It's meant to be savored. This is you here, not in a rush. And that's funny, right? Because, if before the two cards were talking about kind of like this individuation process, but still feeling like you are this weak child, right? Maybe not ready to break away, or just like say goodbye to your parents and take on your own path. It's like here you are taking accountability, taking the responsibility for your own path, your individual path, right? Because to me the nines, they represent the individual path, and this is your earthly realm path. It's like this is your human journey this time around, and you are in no rush to, I'm reluctant to say this word because it is what I'm hearing, but it's like you are in no rush to grow up, but you are on your way to finding your own independence, your own sovereignty, your own individuality, right? But in a rich way, in an enriching way, where you are enjoying each path of the way, because you are, it's like you're stopping to smell the flowers, is that type of vibe of the slow pace of the Knight of Pentacles. But here comes your future self, or almost like this guide, and maybe a guide that is taking a human physical shape, right? An embodied guide. Because the Queen of Wands, which is fascinating, because before I told you that the card that was representing your vulnerable child self was, maybe even like this inner wound, this inner child type of wound that you carry, feeling like the vulnerability will accompany you. But and so it was represented by the Page of Wands. But here comes your future self, which is almost like the matured version of that vulnerable state of yours, right? And so yes, this was coming through more as like your future self that is coming into your current self, right? Your present self that is not in a rush at all. And your future self is saying, you don't have to worry about, not wanting to grow up, or taking it as slow as you want, because it's like, it's almost like, at least if it goes in a certain slower pace, you can manage, it's like you can manage the growth, or you can manage kind of like the debris, right? Or the outcome in a sense, right? Even though you're not necessarily worried about the outcome, it's more like you're worried about how the outcome is going to impact yourself, your current self. But and if this is somebody that you admire, that you look up to, that you respect, because I do feel like there is this respect for your future self, if this is the case for you, if this Queen of Wands is representing that for you, or even if it is an embodied person, right? Like an older friend, or like a mentor of sorts, or like a teacher, or even like a mother figure, whatever they say to you, it's almost like it's changing your perspective on the pace that you're moving currently. Because right now, it's almost like, in order for you to make sure that this is a safe, steady path onto building your independence, onto building your security, onto building your, maybe this financial security, or your sovereignty, if this is like you with yourself, you with your body. um it's like this guide is here to say, you don't have to go so slow. It's like you can savor the path, but you can also get some momentum going. In fact, this is what she's saying, this is what this guide is bringing, because she's saying, if you speed up, not too much, right? It's not like you're going to speed up like from 0 to 100 in a second, right? But if you speed up just a little bit, it's like you're going to be able to see the co-creation that is entering your life. So it's almost like the future self is here saying, you're going to benefit from this co-creation, but you need to move a little bit faster. It's like, just increase your speed, It's like you can still enjoy this path. You are not going to lose this safety. You're not going to lose this sense of stability, right? And almost like this steady progress. But it's like you'll want to be a participant in this co-creation, and for that there needs to be this momentum, right? Because I'm seeing these three wands. It's like they are changing. It's almost like they are um it's like they're taking each other's place, right? So but it's like this split second of replacing each other. So it's almost like having three different perspectives all at once. And maybe, since we were talking about your Page of Wands past self, right? Your current self with your the Knight of Pentacles, and maybe your future self with this Queen of Wands. It's almost like the three of them are blended together, are enmeshed in this same co-creation, right? And you will want, it's almost like having this perspective of three different timelines, but it's like it's yourself, right? It's you in different times, because what's coming next, and maybe this is what this Queen of Wands is here to give you this message. It's not warning per se. It's just saying it's like it's going to be more fun, more enjoyable than even what you want to enjoy right now. It's like you have this internalized perspective, Leo, that if you go slow, you're going to enjoy the details of the path, right? But this creature, this guide, this future self of yours is here to say, you are going to enjoy something else. It's not like you're going to lose what you're enjoying right now. It's like you're going to enjoy this speeding up just a little bit, because what you're going to cross next might be a rough patch, because the Eight of Swords here is talking about like needing the speed to overcome kind of like this bumpy road, right? It's like this for some reason, it's almost like you don't want to see the details of this. This is what the difference between the Nine of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords is, right? So it's almost like in building your sovereignty, Leo, yes, you get to enjoy every step of the way. And you might think right now that you need to go in a certain slow pace, right, to do so. But part of that path towards your independence includes overcoming these bumps on the road, right? And it seems like this is a type of detail that you don't need to pay close attention to. You don't need, it's like if you were too slow, it's almost like you could get wrapped in itself. It's like in your own thoughts, in your own, it's almost like being caught by your own web, right? Of like negativity or uncertainty or doubts, or it's like going back. Now it's almost like you are entangled with your past self and with your future self all at once. They are in different stages of maturity and development, and even like this self confidence in a sense, right? Because it's the fire. So it's almost like your past self lacks the type of self confidence that your future self already has, but they're all entangled, right? It's like it's all you. It is the co creation that you are living right now. And so it's almost like, remember that I was talking about how the three times, or the three versions of yourself are changing place, right? Are, it's like are seeing your life, your present moment from one perspective or the other. So it's almost like if you get caught up in your past self's version of things, it's like it's going to be scary, or it's not going to be as courageous or as brave as your future self is wanting to make sure that you also include this version of things into the co-creation. So that's why this one here is saying speed up things, because this is the type of, you know, leg of the journey that you don't need the details of. You don't need to slow down and to smell the flowers. It's almost like the smell here is not going to be good or pleasant or comfortable. It's like it's going to be nasty in a sense, right? So speed up, because you can go through this without having to, it's almost like without having to remember much about it. And here comes your courage, right? Here comes your strength. Here comes, it's almost like the leap that needs to be taken, because it's like this is your higher self, right? If the Queen of Wands here is representing your future self, right? It's like this more mature version of the same self that was struggling with your sense of individuality, right? Your sense of just knowing who you are, really, right? But if in a way you ignore kind of like this, what I'm trying to say here is like, if you go fast enough, you're going to have this focus and not on the rest, right? It's like the higher self is here as a beacon of light, a beacon of strength, a beacon of courage that is going to be, it's almost like it's going to be the focal point instead of you paying attention to what is beside you or through what you're going through next, right? It's like this next leg of the journey. It's like focus in achieving this, because it's almost like it is at your disposal. It is reachable, right? But you need to focus here as things shift and change in a very rapid pace. So it's more, it's almost like this figure, your higher self, your reassurance, right? It is your reassurance. It's coming from you. And even if I said here that this is a friend of yours or a mentor or whatever, you know how sometimes we speak people saying things that in our minds we think, oh my God, I could have said that. It's almost like they are speaking my own words. It's kind of like that, right? So it's almost like even if it's another person, it's reminding you of your own self guidance, your own words. So it's the reassurance that it's coming from you and you alone, because this entire thing, right? And this is why the higher self is here saying, it's your process of individuation. It's your process of overcoming your own self torments, self thoughts, or it's like these, it's almost like these negative, um, it's like just a torment that is unnecessary. It's like you don't need to be caught up by that, right? Even though it's also coming from you. It's like you can, it's like rising up from that. It's just, it's remembering the courage that is already in you. This is why they're here. So we're ending here with your vulnerable self, right? With another page, but this is the Page of Cups. And it's fascinating because I do feel like there is this very entangled co-creation that is meant to be kind of like this combination of versions of you that are less mature, more mature, and on the way to maturity, right? But your higher self is always there. And it's almost like the more you connect with your higher self, the more you allow yourself to be vulnerable without being scared, because this is how you maintain the purity of your heart, knowing that these are just perspectives of who you are. So it's not being taken over by your self doubt, by your negative thoughts, by your fears, by whatever weakens you, whatever takes the trust in yourself, whatever is not able to carry out this path of independence and sovereignty. So you are on your way to that. It's like keep focusing on this strength that is coming from your higher self, and know that this is part of this co-creation, because it's like you're going to see yourself from these three different timelines or three different moments in your life that is going to, it's like it's always going to come back in a sense to the innocence that you carry in your heart, and that is from a moment in time where perhaps yes you were more vulnerable. It doesn't need to diminish your self-confidence. So it's like your self-confidence is coming from here. It's entangled, it's the same being, it's just expressed in different ways. So it's like, it's almost like reclaim your courage without losing sight of your own innocence, because it's not because your past self is more immature than your future self that your past self doesn't have anything worth carrying on to this co-creation, especially because I do feel like the bottom of the deck being the devil, it's like there is something that has been it's like split up or has been broken, right? This is the distortion in this path. And it's almost like the more that you are scared of continuing building your own independence, it's like the more you're going to fear going back to this vulnerable state. There's nothing wrong with your vulnerability. In fact, your vulnerability is, it's almost like equals the amount of purity that you carry inside your heart. It's just that maybe you're vulnerable because, if you allow yourself to get caught up in all of the fears that you had when you were younger, it's like the devil will continuously make you feel split up, or it's almost like it's going to be this disruption of this path. It's like you have been consistently building this path of independence, but if you go too slow, it's almost like the devil will make you believe that there is a breaking point, or it's like you're not going to be able to continue this path of sovereignty, right? It's like, reaching a certain degree, but then being in front of an abyss, right? So it's almost like maybe you have done this. This is the impression that I'm having right now, Leo. Maybe you have done this, but here you are, confronting again another rough patch that seems to be impossible to break through, but your higher self is here saying, remember that I'm here, bringing all of the courage that you already have, knowing that your past self and your future self, it's like all of these versions of you are present, right? Are together in this current moment so that you go as fast as you can, but not disrupting your own pace. It's like it's not meant to be disruptive, right? Maybe this is what the devil wants. It's like it wants to create this disruption. So it's almost like you don't want to go either like too fast or too slow. It's like you want to find the right balance to make this co-creation be the breakthrough between your past, your present, and your future self, right? And it's like reclaiming your own power, your own courage to overcome this, right? Because it's like when you do, it's almost like it continues. The building of this path continues, right? It's almost like you have, jumped a timeline is what I'm hearing right now. Like jumping this what feels like, this abyss, whatever this is. It's like you're going to jump to that timeline where you're able to continue this path of sovereignty. So, Leo, I truly hope that this was helpful. I know that maybe it was a little bit confusing. It was to me as well. It's like there is this adjustment of perceptions of time and your own versions, right? So I am going to pull more cards for you to see where this wants to go. And also I'm going to pull from the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Bye.